You are now listening to the J Ade podcast.
We're getting ready to start season 5. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the J Ade podcast. It's your boy J Ade in the building. This is season 3, episode 1 of the show. Wanted to give a special shout out to everybody who's been showing me love thus far on seasons 1 and 2 of the podcast. It's love, appreciate it. It's honor, appreciate it. Make sure to follow your boy on the gram at Joe the Great. That's JOETHEGR number 8, as well as my podcast page at j.ade.pod. And you already know how we do it, ladies and gentlemen. I have 2 special guests with me today. We have one lady and we have one gentleman. So we're going to have the lady introduce herself first, then we're going to have the gentleman do so subsequently. So, lady, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm Tiggi, and I'm from Florida, but I've lived, in the DC area for a while.
All right.
So I represent DC more so.
Welcome. This is Tiggi's first time on the show, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun today. And we have a gentleman that you guys have heard his voice quite a few times on season 1 and season 2. So he's no newcomer to the show, but what's your name? Where you from for those who don't know you, man?
Yo, what's up, y'all? My name is Eenie. I go by Eenie Meanie. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, at Eenie Meanie. That's INIMEANIEE, 2 E's for excellent. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. 2 E's for emphasis, boy. You know the vibe.
Yeah, there you go.
All
That's
right.
the vibe. So, as he said, I've been on here before, but now y'all know what I look like and whatnot. So, if you try and catch this fade,
You say you're trying to catch this fade.
You know
Oh,
what
my
I'm saying?
goodness.
I'm
All
in
right.
PG County, so just come find me.
PG people always trying fraud like they got that. They want that smoke. They don't want it, though. You got any social media to shout out as well before we go any further, though?
I do.
All right, shout it out, man.
JALLOH, and I also have a podcast as well.
Yes, sir. Podcast. I was on an episode
so
of
you
it.
can follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well.
Yes, sir. Shout out that one too, though. Like,
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on that show. I was on an episode
Yes,
of it,
you were on
ladies
that
and
most
gentlemen.
recent
Go
episode.
check that out
Toxic
right now.
relationship.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very, very interesting conversation. But ladies and gentlemen, speaking of interesting conversations, today we have a very, very interesting topic. I had a poll on it last week on my Instagram that I just shouted out, ladies and gentlemen, and that topic is on body positivity. Specifically, as of late, people on social media have been throwing around the term body positivity heavily. And I wanted to know from you guys first, since we had Tiggi introduce herself first, I wanted to give Eenie the opportunity to answer this question first. How has body positivity been presented to you through social media as of late?
All right.
I can elaborate if need be.
Yeah. Just go ahead and do the elaboration.
Okay, so the elaborated question
just so they
is,
can understand.
The elaborated question is, based on what you see, what do you believe is society's definition of body positivity?
All right.
Let's speak on it.
Let me put some disclaimers out here, okay?
Yeah, my man got the disclaimers early.
Disclaimer number 1.
All right.
It's not a lot that people are going to say that can convince me otherwise of my opinion.
Okay.
Number 2, please listen to what I'm about to say.
All right.
Because I don't want people to come attack me later for the shit I'm about to say right now. All right.
My man is giving disclaimers because he knows he's about to wild out.
All right. So,
all right, let's do it.
For real, I think that body positivity, just like many other movements, started in a positive light, to basically take away, in layman's terms, like bullying and shame and things like that. Now, today, I think it has become an excuse.
Excuse for what exactly?
For people to just do whatever and look however.
Let's talk about it.
And that's cool. Live your truth. If you know what I'm saying, you try and be whatever. If you think that look good to you, whatever weight, whatever appearance, size, how you want to live, great. But that do not mean that it's okay. That do not mean that it's healthy. That does not mean that other people are required to not have an opinion on that or to accept that. They can accept that it exists, but they don't have to accept it as proper for themselves or in their opinion of what the world should be like.
Okay.
So for me, I think that it started out as a good thing, just like most stuff, but then it kind of had just, trickled down to this excuse of, don't worry about it. You did this, you did that. It's okay. You still beautiful, blah, 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 blah,
okay.
blah. Yeah, I mean, you are, but,
All right, so to you, pretty much, before we move on to Tiggi, so pretty much what you're saying is body positivity started as something positive, but now you feel like it's an excuse for people to push the agenda of not looking your best, pretty much.
No, it's an excuse to put in work.
An excuse to put in
work.
Okay, got you. Okay, so what do you think, young lady? What do you think body positivity is? What is that to you?
I mean, I think it started off as like a positive movement, and I still think that it's something that should be embraced as something positive.
Okay.
When you said how it's kind of been turned into something where it's been promoting, more so like unhealthy lifestyle, like where exactly did that shift happen? Because at least for me and like what I've been seeing, there are certain instances here and there, but I think overall, like the overall sentiment, it's still pretty positive.
It's positive in the general definition of the term positivity. It's positive. Yeah, you're uplifting people in general, but that's like anything can technically be positive. Like let's say someone shot somebody outside. That's a negative thing.
That's very extreme, but
I'm using an extreme example.
No, okay.
But like, I'm just saying, let's say somebody shot somebody outside. That's a negative thing. But if I came up to you and I was like, oh, it's okay, like, you'll be okay, like, don't worry about it, da-da-da-da-da, I'm giving that person positive encouragement.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not the fact that I don't think that, it shouldn't be, or that, there aren't positive messages that are going along with it. I just don't like how it has come to a place where it is now okay to just do whatever or look however, which is, like I said.
But I think that's the whole concept of body positivity,
but that's
right?
The thing, though. So I get what you're saying, and that's why I try to.
Let's discuss, man, because everybody on social media has a different opinion about this.
I try to reference it as like, you can do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, like for instance, let's say Joe today decided, hey, I'm gonna cut off all my hair. I'm gonna cut off my beard. I'm gonna put tats on my like underneath my eyes. And I'm like, bro, you could do that. Live your truth. But don't be mad if I come one day and be like, bro, you look dumb. You know what I'm saying?
Like, who are you to say that, though?
That's what I was about to say, too, yeah.
Because,
Let's discuss.
Because I'm a human being. I have the right to say and feel whatever I want to feel.
And I'm not saying that you don't. And I'm not saying that you don't.
Let's hear this point real quick.
What I'm saying is that how are your feelings and your sentiments supposed to dictate the way he's supposed to move about?
He should be able to live his truth. I said that earlier.
But you said, he should be able to live his truth. But so your point is that I can live my truth, but you are allowed to have your own say in it.
I can have my opinion. Right. Now, whether that changes your life, that's on you.
Okay.
Right.
And then another thing is that I use Joe as a good example for me because Joe is my friend. So as his friend, I'm going to say something. You know what I'm saying?
But what if I like my weight? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if I like the way I'm? Okay. Shaving my head and doing the tattoos. But let's switch back to the topic at hand, right? So in the body positive movement, right? Everything is about I guess being comfortable in your own skin is kind of like the the baseline of it in terms of what it's defined as, right? And so let's say I don't want a six pack. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody said you had to have a six pack.
But you're saying that if somebody decides not to live a healthy lifestyle, you have reason to make your claims and they have to accept it for what they are.
I think if you care about a person's life in general and they're not living a healthy lifestyle, then you have very much reason to be like, hey, I noticed that you're not living a healthy lifestyle.
Okay. What do you think, though, Tiggi? So do you think that the body positive movement is another excuse to live an unhealthy lifestyle? This is actually the poll last week, ladies and gentlemen. But do you think that the body positive movement is just a way to promote an unhealthy lifestyle, or do you feel like this is a legitimate self-love movement?
I think,
and I'm going to ask you this too.
I think it's definitely a legitimate self-love movement. But then again, like when you're thinking about these type of movements, you also have to factor in the role of social media and how people feel so entitled to their own opinions,
right?
And how they feel as if their opinion stands, and like that's kind of how it should be the standard for whatever movement. But honestly, like I feel as if to its core, it's a very positive movement. And I think that when people think of body positivity, I think people automatically assume that, you're talking about fat girls.
Right.
And I think that you should also encompass other people as well, because it's not just about them. It may have started about them. I'm not too sure.
Right.
But I think that you should also, consider other people who may be affected by it as well.
So, okay, and what do you think, bro? So you think it's a legitimate self-love movement, or do you think it's just an excuse for people to be unhealthy?
Like I said before, I think that it started as a legitimate self-love movement.
Okay.
I think that it is still a self-love movement, but I think that it has turned into an excuse for some individuals to just
Could you give me an example?
Yeah. Let's talk about it, man. Let's discuss.
Like,
Let's
who's
discuss.
like the first person that comes to mind when you think of like
A body
the
positive
trend
person.
going that other way?
Let's discuss, bro.
don't
Let's
like
discuss.
naming names.
Drop names. You already gave the disclaimer at the beginning, bro. So we ready to really get.
No, that's
get
wild.
nah, you already, let's discuss. No, okay.
Or any like
okay.
public figure.
Famous
or
people,
anything
yeah,
like
famous
that.
people, famous
More
people.
so
Not
public
trying
figure.
to-
nah, famous. Nah, let's discuss, bro.
I mean, even still, okay. I guess you brought up weight, for instance.
Okay.
Let's say weight. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the things that we see on Twitter, because you get a lot of these controversial
Right.
things from Twitter, right?
Right,
So
right.
One of the things that we see on Twitter a lot is, let's say there's an individual who's very overweight, right?
Okay.
Visibly overweight, and then she posts a picture, self-love.
Why gotta be a she? Continue. I'm just being problematic. Continue.
Yeah, but usually it'd be like that on Twitter.
I actually want to ask that too,
like-
but nah, complete your
I mean,
point.
like-
Yeah, complete it.
I just think it'd be like that from what I've noticed
Okay.
on my Twitter.
Okay.
But anyway, so let's say she or he posts a picture of them in like lingerie, something blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Right. Now there'll be the people who are saying like, oh, this is self-love, blah blah blah. But then there'll be the other people, because it's Twitter,
Right.
who will start shaming them and be like, oh, you fat, this and the next thing, da 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 da.
Right.
Then comes, and this is the issue that, like, this is the biggest part that makes it an issue. The individuals who respond that say, oh, weight is not a good judgment of this person's health. That's when it starts becoming a problem. Because it's like, yo, while what you're saying may be true, because
Right.
there's a bunch of individuals who are very skinny or skinny who have health issues.
Bad health, right.
Which is true. But it has been scientifically proven,
I need the facts. But
that weight, what?
no, I said I want those facts. You said it was scientifically proven, but we're not doing that right now. But yeah.
Obesity leads to many complications.
I mean, no, that's a fact though. But I wanted you to complete
That's
your
what I'm
point.
saying. It has been proven to be a fact that high weight, like, and this is one thing I think people are kind of be dumb about. It's not just high weight. High weight and very low weight both have been proven to show health issues.
Okay.
So when you start saying like, oh, this is this, that, and the next thing, and now people are coming online like, oh, you can't do that because she's just living in her own skin and da 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 da, and like, how can you say that she's unhealthy? You don't know that, da 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 da. Be like, bro, we fucking see it.
Okay. And to
see
that
it, what you
point,
mean?
and to that point though, right? So I think that's interesting that you brought that up, especially in terms of being somebody who's larger and posting these revealing clothing pictures, right? I think one thing that was really, really prominent and popular, since you were too afraid to name the person specifically, was Lizzo. Lizzo had a situation where she wore this.
Now Lizzo
fit.
might not sponsor you.
I don't give a. Hey, Lizzo, man, it's all
I
love,
was
man.
trying to help you out. You know what I'm saying,
it's
for the
all good.
sponsorship.
Hey, this all good, bro. You mean, hey, we can't hold back
win
on
some,
it.
you lose some.
Nah, it's all good. Nah, okay. So the Lizzo point, right? 'Cause I want to hear your perspective too, Tiggi, as a woman, first of all. But specifically, the Lizzo situation was a situation where she wore this outfit where her butt out and a Los Angeles Lakers game and everything like that. And obviously, social
was
media got
Right.
really.
I would definitely consider that more inappropriate than anything.
But
yeah.
but
Especially at a beloved Lakers game.
But I wanted to get a woman's perspective specifically because I think a lot of men were saying, you know what I'm saying, ew, that's disgusting, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of women's counter argument was, if this was Rihanna or Kim Kardashian, everybody would have been glorifying it. So I wanted to kind of get your opinion on that. So do people actually care about her health or her size, or were they just using her being fat as another reason to like ridicule her for it?
Well, when it comes to the Lizzo situation, I am personally not even a fan of her. So I think that
Why not?
I'm just not a fan of her. I really just am not.
There's some bias in there. Let's discuss though. Let's discuss.
But I do feel as if it were, the thing is, like, she was just, like, that was just uncalled for regardless of who it was. Like, it could have been, like, Kim K or Rihanna.
Right.
But if it were them, it still would have been not as bad if it were Lizzo, you know?
Okay, right.
And then in terms of, and then I think this is also, like, where it gets tricky as well, because then there's this whole conversation about having opinions about a black woman's body, and I think
Right.
that also gets into another
And we're gonna
deeper
have a point about
situation
that
as well.
too. Continue. Yep.
So I think the whole situation was very controversial, but at the end of the day, she was just like, that was like not called for. She shouldn't have
Dead
done
wrong.
it.
Yeah,
There
and
are
I
kids
agree.
around. Like, it's not even about whether or not she's promoting self-love or anything like
Right.
that. It's just about being appropriate in a certain setting, you know?
Okay, and you brought up an interesting point too, though. I wanted to know from you, do you guys think it varies based on weight, kind of how it's received? So like Lizzo, right? Lizzo, wears revealing clothing. This is not the first time she's had her butt out on, social media before and stuff like that. But as opposed to somebody like Adele, for instance, right? Adele is, also a larger woman. And I feel like a lot of people
lost
don't.
a lot of weight, by the way.
No, now, you know what I'm saying? But even then, everybody was glorifying her losing that weight. But how do we know that, that was a healthy weight loss in the first place? But my question specifically about that is, do you guys think there's a certain level of like, I guess, racial weight that goes into the idea of body positivity? Because I feel like people don't really clown Adele for being a big girl, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to Lizzo.
But Adele, as a big girl, did not do the dumb shit that Lizzo did.
But, okay, so that's what I'm saying, though, because so you think it was because Adele wore these, gowns and things like that, or you think people are coming at Lizzo because of how she carries herself?
Because Lizzo's fucking annoying.
No, it's because how she carries herself.
But,
like,
but
Adele,
do you think it has anything with her to do with her being black, though? Or you think, like, even if it
No,
wasn't?
in that
I feel like that
situation,
was
no.
I think that those two people are,
Okay.
they're just so different.
And they're
because
perceived so differently too when it comes
Yeah.
to social media
Let's
and pop
discuss.
culture
Let's
in
discuss.
general.
Let's discuss.
I just think
Adele isn't annoying.
Adele literally, her social media presence is practically like what, zero?
Not there, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She just comes and puts music, and she dresses to what she thinks is appropriate,
Right.
And which is actually previous when she was like a heavy set lady,
Right.
Or heavier set lady, whatever.
Like I said, mind you don't know that the weight she lost was healthy weight, bro.
I know, but
For all
you was talking about her as a heavy set individual,
Right.
and Lizzo as a heavy set
Correct.
individual. And I'm saying that what Adele wore was actually kind of conservative,
Right.
compared to what Lizzo was wearing.
Right.
But then Lizzo, which is we've seen skinny shorties wear dumb shit all the time.
Right.
But Lizzo do dumb shit. It's not like she just wear dumb shit.
So you think it's her
She
personality
do it.
that makes her like hateable in conjunction with her size?
I wouldn't say she's hateable. I would just say she did something retarded, which was
Damn, my man out here using that word.
She
Sheesh, cancel
went-
culture. He dropped his at name earlier, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you can come at me.
Sight, nah.
But
Continue.
She did something that lacked mental reasoning, which
Okay.
was to go to a Lakers game and do that, especially on the big screen.
Okay.
Like, she could have wore that and just chilled. You know,
Okay.
been a good fan and just chilled, and people would have talked about her outfit anyway because she's famous.
Right.
But she took it to the next bar, which was to twerk while the camera was on her on the jumbotron.
Oh, she twerked as well?
Oh,
I
you
ain't
don't
know.
know the story?
No.
We ain't making this a Lizzo episode though. Anyway, nah. I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on that though. Yeah. Nah,
I don't know. Sometimes I just feel a little conflicted as well because, like, I know previously I was talking about how we feel as if we have the right to be saying things about how people move and
Right.
stuff like that.
We do.
No, we don't.
Finish.
do.
Let her finish this
I
thought
don't
real
think we
quick.
do. I think social media has made us think we have that permission, but we don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you speak on why you believe we don't have that right? Right. So.
I mean, there really isn't much to explain behind it, honestly. I
Okay.
just feel as if, like, you don't necessarily have an importance in terms of, like, how I should be moving, like, my day-to-day just based off how you feel. Projecting how you feel onto me just because you feel like it.
Okay.
But we do
Because
that
I think
in
you're just
everything.
saying something just to say something, and I
That-
get it,
but
and
that's part of
that's
life.
the culture, and that's the culture that, like, we're in now. So that's why when I'm, like, talking about Lizzo, it's like, okay, well, I'm kind of, like, contradicting myself as well.
Right.
I'm confused. See, this is one of the reasons why I put my ad out there. So if people want to catch this fade, because this is
Let's
the thing
talk
that
about
I'm
it.
gonna
Let's
say.
talk about it.
You said that we don't have the right to, throw our wishes and feelings onto other
people. Yep.
And
You have the freedom to, of course.
but that's the thing, though. Your freedom is the right to do that. And not only do we do that in social media and things like that, and social media is relatively new, but this is a general concept that has been occurring in the world since before we were born. It's part of life that individuals are going to state their opinion to you.
On whatever
and
you do.
You have to be able to have the self-assurance to do what you want to do. So one of my pro fights told me one time, he was like, yo, whatever you decide to do, especially as it concerns the fraternity, he said, if you gonna do it, you gotta stand for it, for yourself. You can't call other people to be like, oh, come back me up, blah, 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 blah. No, if you gonna do it, you gotta be assured in yourself and stand for it for yourself. Other people are always gonna say stuff.
Of course.
So that's the thing, though. You have, like, for instance, if I came in here today and you thought my shirt was dumb, you had all freedom to be like, yo, your shirt is dumb.
But that's completely
and
different,
I would
though.
Be like,
that's completely different.
Okay,
You can't compare that to people's weight.
It's the same thing.
And
if she came in here and was like, yo, I hate bald-headed niggas, and you bald as hell, I would have been like, okay.
Yeah,
let's
and of
catch your point real quick.
And I get that.
Let's
but
catch
I
your point.
think that what I'm referring to is more so talking about this movement as a whole. Like, again,
Right.
like we're detracting away from the positivity of the
Aspect of
reason
it.
of the social media movement or the social movement in itself.
Okay.
And that's where I'm coming from. Anyone can have their own opinion and say whatever they want to say because, again, people talk either way.
About
But when
exactly.
it comes to being able to kind of like detract away from the actual essence of a movement, I think that's where it becomes a problem.
Okay. And to that point, though, right? So kind of just like segueing that point as well about, I guess, people voicing their opinions on things that they might not necessarily have the right to do. I kind of wanted to know from you guys, do you guys feel like this body positivity movement is directed more towards women than men, or would you kind of say it's equal, or what?
Yes.
In which way does it? I want to hear the woman's perspective, because I feel like me and the homies talk about this all the time. Not all the time, but like a good amount. But
No, I think for sure it's more so directed at.
And I want to know why you think that is too.
It's directed at more so for women because, again, constantly women's bodies are always going to be a topic of a conversation.
Why do you think that is, though? Like, why do you think women's
I think that's
bodies
just
are
where our culture and our society is set up. Like,
Nah,
it's just
hey, I'm
it's
asking-
a
asking,
given,
hey.
you know? I think that's just the way it's been set up. And
Okay.
I think this was birthed out of a movement to empower women to love themselves with whatever body shape they have, and also the changes that come along with it as well. And when it comes to men, I would hope that more men would kind of be part of the conversation or the movement, either as an ally or as someone who's also going through that journey as well.
Right.
But at the same time, too, I think that the majority of the messaging behind the movement is more so for women. And again, I think more women are also more open to talking about these issues when it comes to their body than men are.
Okay. What do you think about that, bro?
I agree with what she said. I think that is more for the women, and to answer the question of why, because idiot men made that standard. But it is what we have to deal with at this point of time. But I do think that, and again, because it's all about social media pretty much, I do think that there is definitely a double standard in it, because if men started talking about it, they will get shunned. They will get ridiculed.
Shunned in what way, though? So
they'll be like, oh, it's not as bad.
like heavier men?
No, whomever.
And shunned by more men or more women?
By women. Like if a man came on social media,
let's get the
was
scenario.
like, oh, what's his name? Let's say he's tried to talk about how he feels like his weight isn't adequate or whatever. Again, there'll be the people who agree,
Support him,
because
right?
it's
And then there'll be
social media.
right.
And then there'll also be the people who don't. But like
Right.
when you start talking to these people, like for real, you start asking them like, oh, like I'm heavy set and I feel this. They'll be like, you're a dude, shut up. You don't have to deal with the type of stuff that we have.
And I feel like that's so interesting that you made that point too, because I feel like I'll even go on and say that some males use their heaviness as a way, like as a, you know what I'm saying? Everybody knows nigga like Big Mike or Big this or Big that. You know what I'm saying? Like they use it as a way to like level themselves up. Think about like
They had to
Fat
accept
Joe or like DJ Khaled or Rick
people-
Ross. Like niggas are actually like capitalizing off of being a big dude. You know what I'm saying?
Well, again, you keep using people that lost weight.
I mean,
Like,
but I'm saying,
people that lost
hey,
weight.
I'm not tracking who lost weight. I'm not. Oh, he lost weight today. Nah, I'm just saying people that I generally in my mind have thought of as heavier people.
I
You
get
know
what
what
you're
I'm saying?
saying, and I think that goes to the point that they had to accept themselves. So, like for instance, I think that a lot of people don't realize that men are shunned too, and like men definitely deal with body
Get it out.
positivity issues.
Right.
Like a lot of my close friends know me, and they know that like I dislike the way that my body looks most of the time. So I go to the gym all the time to change that. Because so I accept how I look. I know how I look. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, I'm not ugly and blah, 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 whatever. But I don't like what I'm seeing. How do I change this? I go to the gym. You feel me? I make the most of what I have. I accept my situation. And then if I want to see change, I change it. But a lot of guys don't talk about that stuff. I mean, even though we get shunned and picked on, like dudes get picked on for being chubby, bird chest dudes, all this stuff. Like we get shamed all the time. You know what I'm saying? But what do they tell us to do? Go fix it. They be like, go to the gym.
Do you feel like women have that same ability, or like do people give them that same type of energy? So like Eni was saying, they tell men go fix it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Is it that same way for women in terms of like, here's a solution to the problem that you're stating? So let's say a girl feels like, okay, like he was saying, oh, I feel kind of fat, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that something women do amongst themselves? Like, yo, man, tell your homegirl, yo, go check in, like go run. You know what I'm saying?
Yes and no. I think the way it's delivered is a little differently.
Oh, let's talk about it.
I think that when it comes to women, it's more so towards like the bigger women who are like, well, you know, just go to the gym and just do that and this or whatever, clean up your diet and things like that. But I don't think I think it's delivered in a more like nurturing way.
Right.
And again, I think this also places the conversation in terms of like the stigma that there is when it comes to being able to approach men who are dealing with issues versus approaching women who are dealing with issues as well when it comes to like their overall body or their overall mental health too. So I wouldn't say it's delivered the same way.
Okay. I also have a question. Like when did, cause like I don't understand, I never saw this change in when people started accepting men for this like dad bod thing. I had like lately I've been seeing on Twitter,
I've never seen that.
A lot of people on Twitter, I've been seeing women on Twitter talk about like, oh, you know, I like a little chub. I like this. I like this. I like that. Blah, blah, blah. I have not seen that. When did that occur? Because in the past,
it didn't occur on my timeline.
Yeah, like in the past,
shit.
It used to be like, oh, if you don't look like an athlete, it's a dub. Like if
even that's not really true, bro. I feel like that's what people think, but at the end of the day, like any dude built anyhow, the same way people talk about short men. I feel like that's like a thing about body positivity too. Like people have these standards, quote unquote, but who are they messing with in real life? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the shame portion of it, which is what the standards are. So it was like because like I saw the change where it was like, oh, for women you didn't really have to look like a model anymore. You need to be curvaceous and, you know, have a big butt, have, you know, basically black features, basically. And I don't understand where the change came, where it was like for a man, you can't, like you could be short or you could be skinny or you could be, you know, very heavy set. Like, when did that happen? Like for niggas, it was always, you need to look athletic. Like you need to look strong. You need to look tall, built, this. But now people are trying to claim like it's like that, but it's really not. Because when you see the people that they're lusting over on the socials,
bro, that's what I'm saying though. Like people that like social media is just like, you can't really use that as a.
But that's where the shaming comes from.
But that's what I'm saying. So even then, the dudes that are fat shaming women the most on Twitter, like some of them be messing with heavy shorties. You know what I'm saying? True, at the end of the day.
But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about.
You're saying that people shame people on social media and that there's this idea of what the standard is.
Yes,
but I'm saying
like because like I'm saying that we saw a change in the women of what the standard is. I'm saying, where did that change in the men go? Do
you feel like you've seen this change that he's talking about? Because I feel like I haven't really seen that for men.
I've seen it like here and there, honestly.
Let's discuss.
Like, it's not just about like the athletic build anymore.
Right.
And I honestly,
so what is it? What is it about now? Like, let's put me on game, man.
Dad bod. I don't know if I wouldn't say dad bod, like, but
so what's in now? What's popping?
This is like the
what build is popping, man? Speak on behalf of the women everywhere.
The women's of America.
Yeah. Now let's discuss it though. Nah.
Honestly, I think it's just more so coming to the terms with the fact that, like, at the end of the day, they're probably talking to or in a relationship with someone who's very regular.
Right. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, so as much
And
as
I
people
think
say all this
that's
stuff,
where
on
it's
some-
coming from. I think people
Yeah.
are just being a bit more real about it. But I feel
Right.
as if the whole switch or so, I think it just became more apparent on social media. But I think it's always been a thing. Like, I can remember like years back too, people were always with other types of people, and they were over here like going on Twitter like rah rah rah, like, oh yeah, this guy has to be this and this and that.
Right.
But they're over here crying over someone who's very regular.
Right.
So
I think that's so interesting. That's social media for you, but
yeah, exactly.
okay. And to kind of transition from that though, too, I think when we talk about body positivity, the main thing that we think about is weight, right? But I kind of wanted to ask you guys too, in terms of, especially as black people, we're all black here, right? And I think we're all like different shades for the most part, I think. So I wanted to know from you guys too, is there a level of skin tone that plays into body positivity as well? Because I think what I've seen on social media a lot now is that light-skinned people are almost hated on social media,
Yes.
while like
We are.
now
Rare
darker
breed.
skinned people are
Wait,
kind of.
what?
Oh, let's
We're a rare
discuss.
breed.
Let's discuss.
Sorry,
Now,
can you repeat that?
so I wanted to understand from you, do you guys feel like skin tone is a key component of this body positivity movement?
No. Repeat. The light-skinned people are being hated.
So I feel like
Except for Chris Brown.
I feel like as of now, light skinned people, like especially like, you know, in a lot of these ads, right? So let's say, you know, some ad for makeup or whatever, and they have one black woman and she's light skinned. Twitter's gonna go crazy off of that and say, where are the dark skinned women? Blah 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 blah. We're underrepresented. So I wanted to kind of know,
That's
does
not
that?
hating light-skinned people.
But I'm
Whoa.
saying, oh no, let's talk about it though. But I
That's
want to say,
calling
like, does
out
that factor into body
An
positivity
ad
as well?
that's not inclusive.
Okay,
How? Like,
let's discuss
do
it.
y'all not know how this stuff works?
I don't.
everybody-
Enlighten
everybody
me.
has to
You know, I
audition-
don't know.
Everybody has to audition for a position.
Mm-hmm.
So if the
Are you referencing something particular, like something
he
specific?
just gave an example, a commercial.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right?
like
So I'm saying in that type of example, I understand what you're saying. That like, okay, let's say this brand has never shown darker skinned individuals on a commercial.
Right.
And they only are picking lighter skinned individuals.
Right.
Then yes, I will agree 1,000% that it's like, yo, you're wilding. Like that's a lack of inclusive, you know, environments and stuff like that. But in the general sense, I've seen what Joe is talking about, where it could just be anything. Like it could be literally anything, and then they'll just pick a lighter skinned person now, and it'll be like, oh, why does it have to be a light skinned shorty? Why can't it be?
Have you seen that too though? Like have you witnessed that? I think that's interesting too, because I think we're talking about complexion, but that also happens with weight as well. So like if there's like a super slim person wearing an outfit, it's like, oh, where are the plus size models? And I think it's like, where do you really draw the line in terms of like what we're asking for, I guess.
Well, that's like a difficult question to answer, only because
Let's talk about it.
Only because when it comes to when it just comes to race, and it comes to like a darker skin, bigger built woman,
Right.
compared to a lighter skin one,
Right.
I think again, just the way the society is set up, more people are going to gravitate more towards the light skin woman. And then into your comment about people being like up in arms about not seeing either a dark skinned girl, not seeing like a plus size girl. Again, I think with social media, we've become so sensitive to certain things.
Right.
And we've become so easy to just be so like affected by such small things
Provoked.
as well.
Yeah.
Provoked, yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, but I completely stand by the fact that like a darker skinned big woman would not be looked as desired compared to a light skinned one.
In today's
Do you agree?
day and age
I think
of
so,
social
yeah.
media, or like on commercials?
I mean, they can kind of go hand in hand in a way, but I would say both.
Because if you're talking about commercials, then I agree. Because Hollywood is a different entity.
But when you're thinking social media, are you only thinking about your Twitter feed and like your
Social
Instagram feed
media-
and your your
Social media
timeline?
to me is not TV. TV is different because TV is controlled and operated by different entities.
No, I didn't say TV. I
But
said,
that's
are
what
you
I'm
talking
saying.
about like your own like network of like what like you're seeing on your day-to-day timeline when you're referring to just social media?
No, I
because
would
you're
say
talking
just in
about because
general.
the two things are, you can't really compare the two if you're only talking about what you're seeing on your timeline as you're scrolling through versus Hollywood, which is a completely different beast, a completely different demographic as well.
Right.
That's why I was asking. So the reason I was asking is because, they put out a statistic somewhere that said like basically social media is like the black caucus. Basically, they were like black people, young black millennials
Run social
run
media,
social media,
which is a fact though, man.
Yeah.
Shout out Black Twitter, man.
which is basically true. And like you said, I mean, like if I was in Middle Asian Twitter, I don't know, like China Twitter or something like that, my feed will probably look very different.
Of course.
Right.
But you will see certain things that are popular or what have you.
Right.
And that's why I was asking if you're talking about TV type stuff or like internet type stuff, because they operate differently. I think that on TV, you're very right. I think that on social media, and I've said this before, and they tried to kill me about it, but I was like, being darker skin is the biggest trend of today. And people were like, "Oh my God!"
So you don't think that comes from a place of self-love? Because I feel like there's a historical like thing. There's like a historical like kind of backing behind like why people didn't really like dark-skinned people like that.
No,
so
I know
now
that.
dark-skinned people are like, I guess, the wave.
It's a
like,
trend.
So
Right.
so you don't think it's genuine?
No. I think that.
Let's discuss the facts.
It's a lot of I think that almost everything starts off genuine. I think that almost all of the movements and all of the trends of today or what have you start off genuine, like with positivity and just trying to become inclusive and put everybody on the same level. But because of social media, you have the radicals that take it
to the extremes.
Right. And that's another reason why I agree that people have the right to say their opinions and feelings, because Joe asked a very good question earlier. He said, where do we draw the line?
Right.
If you give everyone the right to do everything all the time, which you have, without saying something back, there is no line. It just becomes complete anarchy. Everybody does exactly what they want to do all the time. There needs to be some type of line where somebody is going to check you and basically be like, chill out.
Right.
Okay.
This is inappropriate, or this is that. And that's why I think that because, us growing up,
right,
light skin was in the wave, like the whole Chris Brown when he was younger, and like, a lot of these like Boris Kojo and all these other people, the dude from Barbershop with the green eye.
Another light-skinned nigga.
Yeah, basically they were all like the heat of the top. Now it's like Idris and different other darker skinned males who are, or even women, who are at like the top of the top when it comes to what people are thinking is beautiful, which is great, but that's just part of life. There's trends, and then hopefully things tend to mellow out like over a period of time.
Okay, and my question is based on that too. I kind of wanted to get from you though, Tiggi. Why do you think this whole movement, do you think it's bad that dark-skinned people are being placed ahead of light-skinned people almost in terms of like, I guess, people really advocating for darker-skinned people? Or are you okay with that in terms of like, I guess, because it's become a movement in itself?
Right, and I'm not okay with being divisive, but I think that being able to uplift darker skinned Black women is something that always needs to be reiterated, just because of the history and just because they're always being, brought down.
Right.
So in terms of trying to divide them, I don't think that's necessarily the case that we should be going towards, but that's just naturally how it ends up being, just because again, they're seen as two different groups of people.
Right.
But again, I feel as if I completely agree with the fact that we still need to continue to uplift our darker skinned women as well, just because they still aren't, getting the love that they need as well.
But I feel like it's reached a point low key on social media where like people will literally,
but then again,
like
and people say things, but people aren't really like backing up what they say in real life.
They are. Social media is a microorganism of life. And people try to say that it's not, but a lot of the many important
and I agree with you on that.
A lot of the many important movements have started and engrossed lately through social media. So you have a tweet, for instance, that will say, dark-skinned niggas, like the little greater than signs, and nobody else. Like, that's it. And that joint will have, or let's even make it even further. It will say dark-skinned niggas, and it will say light-skinned niggas. Mm-hmm. Or even let's take it even further. Like, you see a tweet that will say something like, nowadays, it'll be like, oh my God, what if my soulmate is light skinned? And then they put like the little disgust emoji. That joint will have legitimately almost 20-something thousand retweets, 100-something thousand likes. The formula that Twitter works with. Do you know how many views that is getting? Do you know how many people are seeing that message?
I'm trying to catch your point here.
The point here is that she's saying like social media is kind of just like people are not doing that in real life. No, these are views and basically what was it called? Like what commercials?
But when you
are
step out of
being
social media, you log out of your
public.
Twitter, you log out of your Instagram account, or whatever it may be. At the end of the day, the reality of a lot of dark-skinned women is that they're still facing a lot of prejudice as well.
Okay, let's talk about that. I want to hear this. I want to hear this point.
So that's what I mean.
Life.
But yeah, I get that. So that's what I mean when I'm saying that, like, when you kind of have to like separate the two in a way, because again, people can say all this noise about uplifting Black women as well, or darker skinned women as well, when it comes to like their day-to-day struggles and like them going into work or them going into for a job interview or anything like that. Again, like they're reminded constantly of their darker skin tone as well.
Okay, because they're and then I get what you're saying, because social media is not real life, but that the same way that TV was not real life, and yet the commercials and the things that are the propaganda that's being pushed towards you day in and day out, So you're going to develop an inherent bias.
So you're saying that you feel like social media and real life, the same energy is kept in terms of glorifying darker skinned people.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a lot of the thing people love to say, like, don't take social media lightly, or like, you know,
it's hard
like,
not to, honestly.
No, I mean, I get it. Like,
don't take it lightly or take it lightly.
They say don't take social media lightly. Like, they'll be like a lot of people will tweet something that'd be like, yo, this is just me on media. Like, don't take it seriously. Blah blah blah.
I mean, that's true for some people though.
And again, like I said, I get it. To everything, there's a balance.
Right.
You know, but you can't just take it lightly in the sense that it doesn't matter, because it actually does matter. Companies and corporations are using this thing for a reason. Right. There's a reason why people are making millions of dollars off of social media and stuff like that. There is power in social media.
Right.
So when the propaganda is being shot at you in a certain type of way, like you said, I agree with you when you were saying, like, we shouldn't be divisive. You know, there's no need for me to put you down, you know, to lift myself up.
Right.
Especially when half of the shit that you saying is not the reality. Like, niggas be fronting on media all the time. Like, it's
but at the same time, like, that's what we're discussing here though, right? The whole body positive movement is literally driven by social media. Like, I feel like really. I think it is. Do you think it is driven by social media?
I think it was like definitely amplified.
I feel like social media is where it low key started, bro. And then after that, niggas was like, all right, like, we're gonna put it on television. Like you said, social media and television are two different ball games, right? So I feel like it started out on social media, like, you know, like Edie was saying, people are posting these pictures and stuff like that, trying to get, you know, love from whoever to be accepted. But I feel like social media is like the root of it. You said it's not? What is then? You think like what is the root of the movement, in your opinion? Either one of you guys can answer.
I think that I wouldn't say that. I would say the root of the movement came from. I think that it was in TV. Like, it was really about.
I didn't see any of that on TV.
But that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, because there was not a lot of inclusiveness in TV.
Right.
A lot of this whole thing kind of started, and it wasn't necessarily about because social media has become such a big platform. I think that it's easier to show positivity there. And then now companies are so scared because of everybody's sensitivity,
right,
that, you know, they're really pushing that because media is now their marketing tool.
Right.
But before that, it was TV. TV was the marketing tool. Everything was
I don't know. I personally didn't see that on my TV, bro. Like, I mean, I guess that was your point, right? That, you know, I guess they use media more as a marketing tool now, like social media at least. But I don't think I saw any of that promoting body positivity, anything. If anything, I saw a lot of, you know, Weight Watchers commercials where people were trying to get, and they showed the biggest person and said, oh, look at this picture of me. You know, this was me 3 years ago, but then I started Weight Watchers and now I'm a lot skinnier. You know what I'm saying?
When you're saying it started, are you saying it started because of social media, or
I think
it
social
started just on it?
Social media, the like body positivity as I know it was driven by the timeline that I see, bro. Like I think
I mean, I guess I could agree.
I think am I tripping? Like I feel like
I kind of agree as well. I don't think it necessarily started from there, but I think a lot of the issues that come with social media and body dysmorphia, I think stem from social media, and I think from there it was then used as a vehicle to then promote this movement
Like,
that
think-
was already, in the works.
like think about like I know we were discussing this like models for instance, right? Like these IG models that promote like, you know what I'm saying, flat tummy tea and all
The
this
ones
stuff.
that before or after they get their body done.
That's what I'm exactly. That's the point. So
Okay.
they getting their bodies done, right? And this is so there's. I feel like there's two sides of the spectrum, right? So there's people that are promoting fitness and the check-in lifestyle. I know Eni Bion has check-in shit heavy, but like there's people
work
that
out.
there's
Have
people.
you always been into fitness?
Yeah, I think that everybody should work out. Literally every human.
Okay, but what I was saying though, so I feel like there's two sides of the spectrum, right? So those people that are on the fitness side of body positivity, so they're saying being body positive means you are fit, while other people are like, you can be built however you want as long as you love you. That's all that matters. And the point that I'm making about like the IG models though, right? I think that's so interesting though, how like they're getting their bodies done and stuff like that, and they're kind of pushing this image that is high key unattainable, and they don't really reveal the fact that they're getting surgery done, or even the people that are heavy and get lighter. Like,
Bro,
Right.
Ari just posted a picture talking about her ass was real.
yeah, I saw that.
And we were like, what? It's like we all know that it's not. So like,
Quickly to your point though
Yeah.
about how like body positivity can kind of be either like more on the fitness end or more of like loving yourself the way you are.
Right.
I think that if we kind of take another step into that and more so promote, because again, you can love yourself how you are, but if you're not in your healthiest form as well, that also isn't a form of self-love.
Exactly.
So again, I think body positivity is also being able to incorporate healthier lifestyles within your life to be able to be a better person. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to lose 15, 20 pounds, but if you're making small, you don't agree?
No. I was just thinking that I had just told Joe this.
No.
The other
Finish out your
day.
thought. then we
Okay,
can-
okay.
Yeah.
But I think again that's where it should stem from if you're looking at it from like fitness versus like, oh, just love yourself the way you are, like love all your roles and all all of this. Yes, that's okay to completely
Flaws
do that.
and all.
But make sure you're taking those steps to actually be like a healthier person, because at
Right.
the end of the day, like you're making sure that like you're able to live a longer life or live a better life. And I think that's where the whole body positivity is supposed to really stem from.
I got you. Okay. What were you gonna say, man? My man cheesing right now,
1,000%.
and we got the camera so we can really see him cheesing.
I agree 100,000%. I literally had told Joe this the other day because when he told me I was doing body positive, Joe and I talk about a lot of the topics that he had.
Right.
So when he said we were doing body positivity, and I stated this earlier, that there's not a lot that people are going to say to be able to change my mind about
Okay.
it, because body positivity is really about self-esteem. That's really what it is. Do you have enough confidence and love for yourself, which is self-esteem, to accept who you are as a person? But that
I think it's
doesn't-
also self-care should also be incorporated in that as well.
Okay.
That was
But-
the
Oh, my man was already getting there.
Sorry,
he was already
sorry.
getting there.
Sorry.
Okay.
that was the
All
last.
right, let's talk about it.
So to what she said,
All right.
it's really about the self-esteem aspect,
Okay.
and finding non-maladaptive coping methods
Hmm.
to deal with.
Non-maladaptive coping methods. Come on, man. That sounded real. That sounded real good off the. You know what I mean? I'm gonna cut that part in the video. I like that. Nah, continue though.
But yeah, it's
Continue,
about
though.
finding methods that are healthy and helpful to keep you in that mind frame of I'm confident, I'm beautiful, I'm this,
Okay.
I'm that. And that can be whatever you want it to be. I think that's what a lot of people don't think. Like, you can be whatever you want to be. That's fine. Other people are gonna say whatever they want to say. You have to have the confidence to stand in that and what you want to be, right? Now, to what you were saying, the self-care part is very important. Now, if you want to be a certain type of way, that's great. But when it starts affecting your health, like legitimately through diagnosis. Like you go to the doctor one day and the doctor says, "Oh, this is something you should be wary of," you know, or "Oh, you may have, you know, developed diabetes or glaucoma, whatever," you know. Then I told this to Joe the other day. Same thing you said. Are you really loving yourself? Like, do you really have body positivity?
But where do you
really
draw the
love
line?
yourself?
But where do you draw the line though in terms of like, are you loving yourself, right? So let's say two
What do you
people.
mean?
You don't
What's
take
up?
care of your health. How?
But check
can
this
you
out.
love
Check
yourself?
this out though, bruh. So let's say there's somebody who goes to, like, Eni goes to gym damn near every day. I'll be seeing it on Instagram, right? So let's say you're going to gym 7 days a week, right? But I go to the gym 4 days a week. Does that mean that you love yourself more than I do?
Not at all.
No.
Like,
It's
I want
not
to
at
understand,
all.
like, where do you draw the
Because,
line? 'Cause, like,
again,
that
the
has nothing to
journey
do with
as
that.
well, the journey when it comes to like your self-love or body positivity, it's very personal and it's very
Yeah.
for you. So you can't, and that's again to why people's opinions can't really matter as much, because you're trying to curate this whole journey for yourself to make yourself better. What
Right.
works for him may not work for you.
Right.
So for someone to kind of use someone's journey as a benchmark for what body positivity should look like is definitely wrong, and that's why I
Which
feel
is what
as
a lot
if
of people do,
people have
yeah.
like this right. They feel that they have this right to, you know, include their
Comment.
opinions and things like that.
Right.
When people should honestly just take a step back and understand that like this journey is very personal.
Right.
And again, when it comes to self-care as well, self-care looks different for so many different people, and certain things work better for so many other people. So when you're able to like take a step back and incorporate healthy routines for yourself, for the betterment of yourself, see what works and what doesn't, I think that's where we can start to have a conversation more about, okay, well, this is exactly what body positivity is.
Right, but like I said, I feel like it's a slippery slope, right? Like,
No,
I don't know.
it's
I think
The
I
thing-
think it is though.
see,
Think about it.
The thing
How?
is that I think that the thing that, okay, so I agree with you on everything you be saying until you say that other people's opinions don't matter. So
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they don't, right? I mean,
that's
they
the
can say
thing.
what
so
they want.
They don't, but they do. The reason I say they don't, but they do is because, like I said earlier, everything
Okay.
is a balance. Okay, I take into account the things that people say because they might have a point to what they're saying.
Right.
Now I have to take that in, internalize what they're saying, and base it upon what I want to be.
Right.
That's part of the whole confident, like the self-confidence
Right,
part.
right.
So like what you're saying it may matter, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make the final decision. So to answer your question, when you said if I go 7 days and you go 4 days a week, do I love myself more? No, because
Like, what
can
if I
go-
just legit don't want to go to the gym
but
every
this is
day?
but that's the thing, though. I can go 7 days out of the week to the
Right,
gym
right.
and hate myself.
Okay.
And you can go 3 days and look better than me. Like,
That's what I'm.
quote
That's and that
unquote.
was her point. Is like,
Quote,
how can
unquote.
you really comment on that? You know what I'm saying? So like, that's what social media has done. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
So
I
because
think-
you post more check-in things than me, I could be in the gym every day because I don't post it. You know what I'm saying?
But
you know what I'm saying?
Be evident. It'll be evident. Body positivity was about what you see, right? People were shaming people because of what they
see.
saw,
Right. Right.
So it would be evident in many things. Body positive, like if you have true self-confidence, the way you move is going to change. Not just like there are many people who are heavier set individuals, but they move with an air of confidence to them. You know what I'm saying? Like they move like they know where they are, they understand where they are, they want to be where they want to be. I remember one time I have a friend actually. I told him, because like I'm very gym oriented, like you said. So I told him, I was like, hey bro, you like are right there. I was like, you're literally right there. I was like, you know, if you did this, you could have this type of body type. He was like, I hear you, but I don't want to look like that. He was like, he was like, I like the way this is right now. I like to look like this. You know what I said? I said, bet. Simple.
And is that
And
that's
the
her
thing,
point.
the thing is, like,
It's
not
that simple.
everyone
But that's her point
is
though.
like that. That's the thing.
All right, and that's for them to
Like, not
toughen the
everyone,
fuck up.
not everyone. No, what I mean is, not everyone is gonna be like, okay, bet, and then just leave it at it.
Right.
as is.
And that's true too.
Yeah, and I think that's where
I
like the
agree.
issue of where like I was coming from in terms of, okay, they're just still harping on this whole idea. I'm like, hey, just let people be, because again, and also I think that like you having your self-love journey or like your body positivity journey out there on the platform, you also risk the chances of people being able to comment freely as well.
Criticism,
so you kind of
yeah.
have to like, you know,
Balance.
yeah, you kind of have to like choose your battle well in that sense, sense.
I think that with everything that you do, you have to be able to know that there's going to be positives and negatives.
Right.
And you have to accept everything that comes with that. So like how Joe said, for me, I post a lot of workout stuff. You know, I post a lot of stuff actually. And you know, it's funny. I'm actually studying to become a licensed personal trainer. People come and tell me stuff about my workouts.
Yeah, man, I lift, man. Check in.
Not even that. People tell me stuff
Check in,
about
man.
my workouts as if I don't study it. You know what I'm saying? But that is something I knew was going to happen.
Right.
I accept that. You know what I mean? That's and that's the whole thing about the, you know, the standing in your truth, having like that self-confidence and stuff like that. You know that people are going to say things. You know it. You have to be okay with dealing with that. And other people need to learn.
And that realization, though, it's not always that easy for a lot of people as well.
That's a fact. Yeah.
I understand that 1,000%. And other people need to learn that once you see that somebody is assured of themselves or something, you have to step back. The only time that I said that I would not step back is because, you know, I study psychology and stuff like that as well. That's like what my degrees are in. If I see
my man just flexing. He said, "I'm being a certified trainer and I got degrees in psychology."
Joe
flex on me then.
Starts doing, like I said, maladaptive coping methods that is leading towards something that patterns have shown lead to certain things.
Right.
I will aggressively step in.
Right.
Because
I mean, that just makes sense.
Because you're coming from a place of love.
But
you're
that's
coming
the
from a
thing,
place
though.
where you're his
That's the
friend and
issue
you
I
care
have.
about him.
Exactly, but that's the thing. I think that the whole body positivity thing sometimes has taken a step further to where it's like, we're friends. And if he says something about me that I don't like, I'm going to be like, oh, you're not my friend no more because you don't care about...
And I think that's interesting too, yeah. I've seen that.
I get what you're saying. Like, if some random stranger came out and said something, I mean, like I said, I'm going to take what they said and be like, do I care? Do I not care? But if Joe says something to me, I'll be like, I would actually take the time to think about it.
Right.
Rather, other people, what I've seen with the extremists is that Joe would say something to me as a friend, for instance, and I turn it into the, oh, he's against me type of thing. And that's a problem.
Do you think that that's your reality as well in terms of, I guess, how messages are delivered and kind of feeling attacked when people close to you, I guess, present critiques? Like, do you see that too?
Well, no,
especially in reference to your body, like you were saying.
Only
like I was
because the way my friends and I talk to one another, I always know it's coming from a place of love.
Okay.
And when it comes to body positivity and things of that sort, I usually don't put myself out there for anyone else outside of like my circle or my bubble to say anything. So I don't really have to like deal with that as much.
Right. Okay. And I think that's an interesting point too, because I mean, like Eni was saying, right? He said that he has a heavier set homie, and he said that he was cool with how his stomach looks, right?
No, he wasn't heavier set. He was. You
said he's right there. He could be this, but he wasn't.
He was right there to the point of like being like solid, muscular. Like he could have had the whole 6-pack vibe, rocking. You know, like one of those like fit, like, you know, what's the BMI for athletically fit? Like under like 15 or something. Like he could have fit in that kind of description or something like that. Basically. Okay. And I was like, yo, if you just do this, you can have this type of body type. And he was just like, I don't want it.
And I think that's something that it's fair to say. I feel like that's part of body positivity too. Like for me, for instance, right? Like I don't really care to be no ripped up dude. You know what I'm saying? As long as my my cholesterol ain't crazy, blood pressure, you know what I'm saying, good.
And that's the thing. Because I took
say?
Oh yeah, you could.
No, go ahead.
Oh, so I took like a intro to feminism class in at Pitt.
Flexing left and right.
It's not flexing, bro. This is just.
Oh, you went to Pitt as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
shout out
I
Pitt.
took a shout out Pitt. You know, #1 public university in the northeastern region. That is a flex. But what's his name? I took a class and they were talking about body positivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the topic came up. You know, amongst the other things that deal with body positivity, the topic came up to be obesity, and this woman. She basically got there and said, I don't feel like any person outside of your doctor or like the first statement that she said was, I don't feel that any person should be able to comment on your physical appearance. So, you know, my dumb ass, I rose my hand and was like, okay, so what is the point of a doctor? And she was like, oh, I mean, doctors are this, that, and the next thing, but, you know, how can they tell you, like, you know you best. How can they tell you da-da-da? And I was like, because of
They're professional.
science,
Yeah.
because of facts, because of, because like they were talking about how, why is obesity shown a certain type of way in books and things like that. And I was like, because that's what it fucking looks like.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about body positivity, there is a actual scientific, factual portion of it that when you start looking a certain type of way, we should actually take the time out to be concerned about your
Of
health.
course.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
you
do
don't have to be okay with that.
And do you feel that way too, though? Like, although you're not licensed to I guess diagnose people as not body positive or not like within those bounds of body positivity, do you feel like are you one of those people that thinks like, yo, you're not a doctor, so you can't talk to me about this? Or is it kind of still what you were saying about it's coming from a place of love?
Yeah, I think that I don't think it necessarily has to be someone who's a physician to tell you about, hey, you're like not going down the right path. And then again, I think what I was also like thinking about as well in terms of how we grew up with what exactly was acceptable and what wasn't.
Right.
So like I'm like first generation American. I grew up in a African household. I go back and forth, back home a lot as well. And the way I view what is deemed acceptable is someone who has a bit more meat on them than someone who's
lighter, right?
Who's like skinnier. And when someone who is skinnier, they're kind of like, oh, this person isn't eating, this person doesn't look healthy and things of that nature. So then when you're, right, exactly. You have to have a bit of like meat on your, right, right. Even the girls too. It's like, you have to have some weight on you. And then you're stepping outside of that and you're going to school. Well, at least for me, I'm going to school and I'm going to like a predominantly like white area, and white institutions, and I'm being told a completely different narrative. And it's like, okay, well now, what is supposed to be right?
Right. Right.
But for me, luckily, I've had people around me who, and again, I could also be privileged too, because when someone looks at me, they don't think that I'm like big or like obese or anything like that as well. So
right.
I think that I also have some privilege in that sense too.
Okay. Interesting. But okay, ladies and gentlemen. All right. We've had our points stated, but we can talk about this for years on years. We're going to talk about this on the timeline tonight. We're going to see somebody post something about something related to body positivity tonight, I'm sure. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we've had Eni, we've had Tiggi on the show. We back. Season 3, episode 1, baby. I told y'all it's going to be the best season yet, and I guarantee that's going to be true. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, follow your boy on social media at Joe the Great. That's JOETHEGR 8, as well as my podcast page at j.ade.pod. Thank you to my guests for coming out today. We got more episodes upon your head top very, very soon, man. We out.